Greetings, my name is Chris Zirkle, and in this video I want to help you find a wedding videographer. If you live in my area, I'd love to have the opportunity to consult with you to see if I could possibly be your wedding videographer, but you may be across the country. So what I want to share with you in this video is how I film a wedding film. What are the components in a wedding film? And this will help you get an idea of when you are interviewing, which you should do, your videographer. When I say interview, meaning talk with them, ask them questions, look at their work. As I'll show you throughout this whole video, my work, you want to see your videographer's work. You want to talk to them, you want to meet them, you want to get to know them a little bit before the day of your wedding, because you want to get familiar with their style. You want them to be able to understand you and know what you're looking for. And so that's why I offer two packages to my clients, because there may be some clients that would want to have a wedding film where they're really on camera and we get into the interview, the documentary style of the love story, and we'll get into what that means here in a minute, versus others may have a personality that's more standoffish and they don't want to be interviewed, so to say. They just want footage of the day captured in journalistic documentary style of what happened. So when you're looking for a wedding videographer, again, you may see samples on their websites, on their YouTube channels, social medias, and clips, and that's great. I myself am going to take some of my best footage and I'm going to put it out there. But you also want to see their whole work. And that's one thing you'll notice about my websites and what I put out, but besides my short content, is I do put out my full videos. My wedding films tend to be anywhere from 15 to maybe 20 minutes. It could be more, it could be less. It depends on how much footage we captured. It depends on how long the bride and groom have talked. I've had some wedding films as short as like 6 to 8 minutes because the bride and groom had very little to say, which is fine, and maybe that's what you're looking for, is that short 6 to 8 minute wedding film, versus mine tend to be more 15 to 20 minutes. And I'll give you the components that are in them. One thing that I do with my clients is I don't have an hourly limit and I don't have an additional hourly fee. If you go beyond this number of hours, I want you to relax and enjoy your day. It's your wedding day. It's a beautiful day. So what I do is I usually arrive 3 hours ahead of the start of the ceremony if I'm doing a wedding film. If I'm not doing the wedding film, if I'm doing the traditional wedding, which is just the footage set to music, that kind of package, then I'll arrive 2 hours early. So you do want to have the conversation of how early will your videographer arrive and what types of footage are they going to capture during that time. Here's what I capture during that time. I start with the venue, the outside. We call that the establishing shot. Where are we? Shooting very wide. Then we want to kind of start to come in closer, and we want to come inside the venue. We want to know who is in the venue, so we see getting ready shots of the bride, the groom alternating. And of course, as the bridal party progressively gets ready, you're getting the whole, from the shoes to the ties to the dress getting zipped up to the earrings getting put in, all those beautiful shots mixed in with venue shots and detail shots. So we're seeing the bride getting ready, we're seeing the flowers, we're seeing the groom getting ready, we're seeing the empty seats where the ceremony is going to take place. Okay. Now in a wedding film, when I arrive 3 hours early, we need to allow for about an hour of that, 30 minutes for each bride or the groom person to be able to set up, to just run through real quickly maybe what we're wanting to say, to film it, make sure we capture everything, because things happen, distractions happens, timelines don't go smooth, so you want to allow for 20 to 30 minutes. Hopefully it could take less, but you want to add that buffer time in there. Let's talk about what is being said. What are the bride and groom going to say in this love story. So the first thing I asked the bride and groom is to talk about when they first met, literally, when you first saw each other, feelings, emotions, thoughts. Where were you? What was happening? Why were you there? What did you say? What did you not say? What did you think? Those kind of things. And it's really interesting to hear it from both perspectives and to hear totally different stories sometimes, or ones that are so complementary, it just blows your mind. We talk then, moving on from the first impressions, the early stages of the relationship, the first few dates, the memories, maybe a specific date, maybe funny or embarrassing moments, those kind of things. But really those early casual dating, how did it happen? Like after you met, who asked out who? What's the story behind that? They move on from those early stages to then talking about how do you start to know it's getting serious. So in this portion of the interview, if you want to call it, I stop at each one. We just record, do just the first meeting, impressions and memories and thoughts. And then we talk about, those really early stages, those first few awkward dates, how did it happen, those kind of things. And we pause. And then we go into what we call, how did you know it was like going to be a long-term relationship? How did the love word come into the picture? How did you know that you may want to marry this person? What clicked? What triggered? What happened? Was it a special trip? What led up to all that? So hearing from both the bride and groom about the specific details and memories and stories, then we get into the proposal story. And we hear that from both the perspective of the bride and the groom. And all of this is really going to be designed to be, if each of you has about 8 to 10 minutes, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, somewhere in there, to where both of you together equates to maybe 15 minutes. And then of course you have footage or audio from the ceremony, vows, maybe some toast. That's bringing your footage up to 20 minutes. So I'm laying out what I ask in my wedding films, and I prepare my bride and grooms in advance, so that way they have content to say, they have something to say that's substantial and sentimental and meaningful, and they don't appear to be caught off guard, and you don't want to end up with really brief statements, especially if the bride's statements or the groom's statements are much shorter or longer in contrast to the other. So after the proposal story, I get into what I call the laundry list. This one is crucial, and it's very beneficial to have this information in advance, that you'll be asked to say specific things that you love about each other. So if I were to speak about my wife, of course I would say she's beautiful, talking about her physical characteristics, but her as a person, everyone loves my wife. She just brings joy and a smile to everyone she meets, appreciates having her in their life. She'll do anything for anyone. She has a heart of gold. She loves children. She loves people. She's faithful. So you get my point, where I could just go on and talk about the characteristics, the qualities of, for my example, of my wife. So after you go through the laundry list, then we want to kind of land the plane. We want to bring it down to where, okay, in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, however long, I'm going to be walking down the aisle, or you're going to be walking down the aisle, and I'm going to see you. You bring it back to, you're about ready to get married, and you end with, we're going to walk down the aisle, exit to that tonight, at the end of the day, we're going to go on to whatever your plans are and start our lives together, and talk about really quickly kind of your plans for your future, your hopes, your dreams, your goals. Look at the camera, say, I love you, baby, that kind of thing. And I'll close with this. This is kind of my sale, is that when I got married X number of years ago, we had the big VHS tapes, and we had like some uncle film it, and the tape literally fell apart. I have the video footage I try to get from it, the audio is gone. There's no story there. It's random. It's not a wedding film. You will benefit from this. My wife and I will be celebrating a big anniversary coming up, and if you have something like this, it's going to pay off 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. You're going to see how young you were, you're going to see how happy, excited, you hear how much in love you were. It's great to watch on anniversaries and children, grandchildren. It's your story, it's your legacy. So I told you earlier to interview your videographer. And so I want to just share a little bit about myself. I am, first of all, a husband to my beautiful wife, a father to my adorable son I'm very proud of, and I work for a very large school district as a digital learning coordinator. I do training on all things ed tech. I produce the podcast for our district, produce documentary style videos on a regular basis. We blog, we handle a lot of communications, build online courses. It's a lot of technology. I have a master's degree in instructional technology and design. My first degree was as a English teacher. I got a major in arts. Also, I'm certified by the University of North Carolina as a technology specialist, Google certified trainer. I'm in the process of becoming an ISTE certified educator, and also work for the other organizations, Kite Learning, DPI, doing some courses and training throughout the year. So I also, in addition to that, and that sounds like a lot, but I am in education and I love what I do, and I'm able to be creative in my workspace, but not in the same way I can with a bride and groom, you know. So I really enjoy filming weddings. I find it a pleasure to film a bride and groom. To me, it's fun, and I'm filming something so beautiful. I'm filming two people that love each other and are committing their lives to each other publicly in front of everybody. It's a beautiful ceremony. It's a beautiful day that I want to capture. I want to preserve those memories for a lifetime for people. And I want to also make it in using my creativity and my style and my editing techniques to tell a story, to tell the story of you, of your love, of you coming together, of your friendship, of your love for one another. And I want to capture that in a way where you can share it with your friends and your family, and in a way that's going to engage them and, you know, not bore them, but capture those highlights and capture you and your story, and have that as a legacy, as something you can pass down to your children and their children, something you'll have for years and years to come. So if you live in the Fuquay, Varina, or surrounding areas, and I'm available, I'd love to have the opportunity to meet with you and to possibly be your wedding videographer. If you don't live in the area, then I do hope that some of what I said in this video will spur thoughts and allow you to ask some questions of your videographer and interview your videographers. Have a couple of them look at their work and take thought and time in selecting your videographer. So wedding season is upon us. We are starting to book for the season. So go ahead and contact me with your date. Let's schedule a time to get to know each other a little bit and discuss the details of your wedding. So you can find me at careercircle.com.